And then I thought to myself, if they can't do this, then what are they learning? I mean, like, who are they going to become? So that's when I took an interest in opening a school that can make or grow a people that are fashion designers and not tailors.
Let's talk about education approach and the curriculum.
And because I had schooled in Europe, I knew that then I had to bring Europe to Kenya, because not everybody can go to Europe, you know? And I'll bring it here in Kenya.
Okay.
But the only problem was now the curriculum.
Greetings everyone, welcome again. Made in Africa show that brings you true and original stories of Africans in the growing movement, highlighting the craftsmanship, creativity, entrepreneurial spirit of Africa designers, artisans and businesses.
I believe I was born to be a fashion designer, and I have studied, I think I studied it for close to about 6 years when I was much younger.
In today's episode, we're with Sally Karago, who is the founder and director at Mcensal School, a leading fashion school in the East Africa based in Nairobi. Miss Sally is an experienced fashion designer for more than 30 years. She's the creative director at Sally Karago Collections, where luxury meets uniqueness and comfort.
They have come, they have trapped into our culture. Culture has always been with us, and they have gone out and used our culture and come up with their own collection.
How do you see fashion industry in Africa?
Like I say, it's a sleeping giant, but if the government can listen to the designers, especially across Africa, not just Kenya.
Fashion in sustainability in Africa.
We have leather fabrics. Africa is known, and in Kenya we have leather factories.
What is your favorite food, Sally?
My favorite food?
Yes.
Made in Africa show produced by NCB, the best one TV.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the Made in Africa podcast. Today we have a very special guest. So, before I go deeper, how are you today?
I'm fine.
Yes.
I'm fine and thankful for you to be in here.
Okay.
Yes.
And thank you for having us today.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so Miss Sally, let's tell our viewers and listeners, who is Miss Sally?
Miss Sally has a long story, but I'll cut it in short. Sally Karago is a fashion designer in Kenya, and she also runs her own school, which is the Mcensal School of Fashion and Design here in Nairobi. She has her own brand, which is Sally Karago. And you can find me also in the Instagram and also the school at the Instagram. Fashion has been, I think, like everybody is born with a gift. I believe I was born to be a fashion designer. And I have studied, I think I studied it for close to about 6 years when I was much younger. And now when I look back, I see the fruit of what I learned and what I have sowed into many, many students' lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to start Mcensal?
For me, I would say is that I still have a workshop, and what would happen is that a lot of students will come from some local schools here in Nairobi to do internship. And what I would do is that I would give them like a small assignment when they're with me. And I found that they were finding it difficult to follow that assignment. And then I thought to myself, if they can't do this, then what are they learning? I mean, like, who are they going to become? So that's when I took an interest in opening a school that can make or grow a people that are fashion designers and not tailors.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So can you tell a bit about the history of founding the school? Because they have to be something behind. Yeah.
It was obviously that I saw that there was we had to have a solution. You know, when you see that there's a solution to be provided because of what you're seeing out there, then you think to yourself or pray and ask, am I the one who's to provide the solution? That is what that is what brought me to open the School of Fashion of Design, because there was a need to teach young and creative people to become designers and teach them how to use their creativity, because creativity does not come from the mind. Creativity must be something that must be researched. And it is in the research that you stand and you can call yourself a fashion designer. designer. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about education approach and the curriculum.
Yeah.
Can you describe to the core of educational philosophy and approach at Mcensal?
Okay, the school is called Mcensal. Actually, Mcensal is a short of Masharia and Sally. So because I went to school in Europe, and I used to love eating McDonald's, so I came back home and I called the school Mark, which means Masharia, Mark, and then and Sal, which is Sally. So it's Mark and Sal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I came up with the name.
Okay.
So Mark would be my dad's name and Sally is me.
That's inspiring. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, when I decided to open the school here in Nairobi, I did do my own research. I went to all the different fashion schools in Nairobi, and there was none that was really, was pulling me to them. And I was finding that there was something that most of these schools were missing. And because I had school in Europe, I knew that then I had to bring Europe to Kenya, because not everybody can go to Europe, you know? So I said, I will bring the education that I learned and I'll bring it here in Kenya.
Okay.
But the only problem was now the curriculum. I went, I think, into every governmental institution to find out from them what kind of curriculums they give. So there were different ones. I can't remember all of them. But then within time, they pulled everything under the TVET. And I was like, okay, the TVET, okay, is good because we are all a skilled developers institutions. But I needed one that fitted what I did in school, one that can make a fashion designer. So I went to an expo, and that's when I met people that were making people aware of Btec. And Btec is even taught even in international schools where there's a lot of art. And Btec covered everything that I had learned when I was in school, or even more. And they're always updating, upgrading. After every 2 years, they're always upgrading their curriculum, so that we are always upgraded here in Africa, so that we know what is also happening across the world. And that's why I went for Btec. Yes.
Oh, that's very interesting. So
Yes.
let's look at now. If you compare your curriculum and other schools, what makes your curriculum very unique than the other other fashion schools? Let's say in East Africa, because your school, it's among the top best in East Africa. So what
Yes.
makes your curriculum very unique?
I think Btec itself, when they created Btec, first it was Btec Edexcel, but now they call it Btec Person. So we're now Btec Person School. It's what it offers. It's everything it touches on everything to do with fashion and how to develop, not just only in cutting patterns or sitting on a machine. They teach you how to bring out that what is within you, that what is hidden within you, and come up with your own concepts and how to develop your own concept to bring out your creativity so that you're different from everybody else. And key is that our school believes in that when you finish school, you're ready to become a business person. Yes, you can work as an intern in another designer's house, but you are confident in yourself that you know what it is that you want to do. That is what we teach in Mcensal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you aim to nurture students and provide them with the atmosphere to challenge them to be the best designers?
Okay. So one of the things, because everybody comes from different homes or different cultures and everything. One thing I did, I made sure was that the school would provide everything the same for everyone, so that when you come to a class, you may not have something, but the school has it, and it has it for everyone. If it's computers, the computers are there for everyone. If it's industrial machines, they're there for everyone. If it's a domestic machine, it's there for everyone. So you all start at the same ground. Now it depends on you as an individual. How passionate are you? How hardworking are you? Because fashion is not easy. Many people think fashion is only about glam, but I tell you, by the time you get to that glam, you'll think twice, because fashion, it's a lot of work. So you have to be wanting and truly desiring to become a fashion designer. Yes.
Okay. That's a very interesting and a very inspiring. So let's talk about certificates.
Yes.
So you mentioned you've been to ALOP. Can you let our listeners understand the connection of Btec and ALOP? So is this...
you mean Btec and TVET?
And the TVET, yes.
Yes. So in Btec, Btec believe in practical. You must have evidence of everything that you're learning, whether it's from sketching, whether it's conceptual development, whether it's professional practices, whether it's communication, whatever it is that we teach, you must have evidence. Without evidence, you will not get a grade. Now, TVET teaches more on theory. There's too much theory, a lot of theory with less practical. And you know, as a TVET or somebody who's a designer or who's creative, what is more? What do you need more? It's a skill, how to do it, how to cut it, how to use your mind to be and think and how to create from things that are around you. As the French designer Coco Chanel said, fashion is everywhere. So when you're driving in the car, you're looking around and seeing fashion. When you're walking on the road, you can see fashion. So fashion is in everything that we see around us. But then, how then do you communicate what you see and create a garment out of what you see? This is why you need to go to school. To be able to combine all these things and come up with something that is very creative. And that's how you become a fashion designer. Then working out with too much theory, then skill. And skill is important. Yes.
Okay. So what kind of hands-on learning opportunity do students have at Mcensal?
Okay, in Mcensal, we do from fashion illustration. We do card-aided design, where you do your sketches or even your printing for your textiles through the computer. We also have textiles which is down on ground, which we still do the olden ways of tie and dye, or screen printing, very many different things. We do have industrial machines where we train you how to use an industrial machine. There is not designer who can call themselves a designer if you cannot make a garment that you love. So you need to train yourself on how to get to how that person made that garment, or even how you have designed the garment that you have designed. Then you also need to understand how to do it. So we bring everything out for you. So by the time you get to, we get to 9 semesters. No, we do 9 semesters throughout the 3 years that we are there. So we start from level 1 to, I think it's level 9, if I'm still right. And in those years, you will learn how to understand how to cut everything that is needed in the fashion industry. Yes, from the smallest and to the largest. And then at the end, you'll understand what avant-garde is, something that is students enjoy doing. And you will learn how to express yourself from within yourself, because you have to have the passion. And I always say it has to come from within yourself. You will think a lot. You will always wonder. You will always be daydreaming because of the things that you're learning. And then you're trying to put them all in your mind. And all that is what brings out a fashion designer, especially because you're young. And even we have older people who come on part-time. But everybody is interested to learn this skill. Yes, but you must have schooling. And I'll continue insisting that everybody who wants to sharpen their skill must have a certain form of education. Yes.
Okay. So it's clear that your school have done a lot.
Yes.
Can you share some examples of, if you check like successful alumni who have gone on to become the leading designer?
Okay. We have a lady called Christine Jockey. Christine Jockey was, in fact, she was one of my first students to come to our school. Now she has a brand which is called IKJON. Yeah, I think she has shortened her name. somehow. And I think she's having, probably her fourth shop. She's opening her fourth shop. And then we have a lot of designers from Mcensal who work with Vivo. We all know Vivo Limited. Most of
I met them during
you met one day.
Yeah.
Who's also a good friend of mine. And then we have designers who open or are working for other people still, and they are making money. And there are also those ones who are still growing, because like I said, I have been in this industry for over 30, 35 years or even 40. But it takes time for you to grow, but you have to be patient and you have to know your product, because you cannot be good in everything. Always pick one item, especially when you finish school, and run with that one item. And that one item will give you success. Yes.
So how do you help students develop their creative skills and talents?
Oh, one of the things is that there's a class that I teach that is called Research and Development. Like I said, you cannot think of creating something new. You have to research, and you can research. Like in Africa, we have culture all over Africa, and it is through culture or political or social scenes, all these things, put them together. And this is what we help you do. We first begin by teaching you what must a research contain? Where do you get research from? How do you compile your research? And then how do you create a collection? So it's a journey, but it's a journey that is interesting for you to see yourself creating something that you will never see in a magazine, you will never see anywhere else. And what makes you proud is because it came from your own mind. That is what I encourage the students to do, because Africa has we have a lot of people and things that are untapped till this day. And that is what the European countries have done. They have come, they have trapped into our culture. Culture has always been with us, and they have gone out and used our culture and come up with their own collection. And this is why Africans need to be proud of their culture. It speaks a lot. And there's a lot that you can even learn from your own grandmother or grandfather or your aunties. The things they even eat on can also be turned into fashion. So fashion is everywhere, and I believe it, and I can testify it. Yeah,
that's very inspiring. That's very inspiring. So let's talk about industry and engagement and the partnerships, because as we know, fashion designers, they need people to know them once they have a degree. So what kind let me say, how does Mcensal maintain stronger connections with the fashion industry in Kenya and in Africa?
I think what is key for us is that once our students finish with their courses in school, we send them out to do internship. They can bring us somebody they want to work with, but there's a form that they must fill so that they can do internship with that person, so that they can be in a place where somebody is an individual designer or a sole proprietor in a business, but it has to be in the fashion industry, or somebody we can take them into the what's that place called? I forget the place. Anyway, I'll get to the place. Anyway, we tend to do a lot of internships, because I believe through internship you tend to now know how to work with tailors, work with machines, what it is, and how to run a business. If you have not ever run a business, you need to be in a place where you learn these things. We teach you, yes. And I say teaching about being an entrepreneur, you find it can be a bit theory. But when you go and work with somebody, then you see the practical of it. We teach you marketing, we teach you branding, we teach you a lot of things. And we also try and take our students to visit maybe some factories, or we visit some workshops. And I mean, like, the students in Mcensal are known in Kenya for their excellence and because of their mastery in what they came to learn in the school. Yes.
I can testimony that.
Yes.
Yeah, because I met some of the students and I interviewed them. So, dear listeners and viewers for Made in Africa podcasts, so some of you may love fashion and you want to ask questions, Miss Sally. As always, on our social media, we post the pictures and questions, and she have mentioned her address and information. I hope those who love fashion, this is your time. So, Miss Sally, in what ways do you ensure the curriculum stays relevant and aligned with the industry needs?
Yes, like I told you, Btec is always upgrading their curriculum, so we are never left behind. Like in the recent maybe 1 year, let's say 2 years, we have this thing called macrame. Macrame, I did it in the years when I was in college in the 80s. But macrame right now has become the biggest thing in fashion. So now you will find we are teaching macrame in the school. Yeah. So being with a British curriculum, it keeps you upgraded. So we never have the same curriculum like for 9 years. It's always upgrade after either 2 or 3 years, depending on what is happening across. So you have to work with people who also are in the program of fashion and design, and that's why I chose Btec persons. Yeah.
So what are the key criteria you look for when admitting or selecting students for Mcensal?
Okay, so one of the key things for me is first, if you didn't make it to the grade, because we start from C going down. If you didn't make it to let's say like you got a D or even a D minus, but you're creative. I always say not everybody got the brains to do mathematics and economics, but the children who are born to be creatives. Yeah. So I tell them to write to me and tell me, why do you want to become a fashion designer? That is something I will mark. That one I read it myself.
Okay.
And then we interview the student, and then we sit and look at and most of these people who are very creative, they're creative, but they may not be very what is called studious or very clever in school. So you'll find that a lot of these people have already done things, like they come with art books that they have drawn on since they were children. They always come with evidence of something that they have done.
That's interesting.
So I always say I don't go by the grades. I go also by evidence and also by speaking to you, and then we see and really watch you in the school. Yeah. Because we always have what's it called, teachers meeting, and obviously what we talk about is the students, and we do this every once a week. Yeah. So we know who is strong, who needs to do this, and yeah. So if you're creative, then we know you're creative. Now we need to fix you on something else, to make you better in this, Yeah, because being creative is not enough. You need to also learn the business part of a fashion design business. Yeah.
So what advice would you give to prospective students hoping to study at Mcensal in upcoming years? And
okay,
sorry to interrupt, because some of them, they may now think in their head like, okay, so how it sounds, this is a very good degree, so how can I get there? So what do I need? Because you have said you do selection, and the selection is very tough.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's very tough. But as long as you have let's say like you have passion. No, we know students who have passion. But key is, for me, is hard work. Are you ready to work? Are you ready to give your all in what we do? And I'll tell you, Mcensal Fashion and Design, because of what students do and what they post, we were invited to Gucci in 2019, and we went for a fellowship program there. How did we get there? It's because of the creativity of the students. So out of 30 students, they chose 5, and we were with Gucci for like 5 for a week in Rome, and we went to Florence, where Gucci comes from. So we find that the creative students have an opportunity to be in international platforms where everything is paid for. So Mcensal has also been awarded the best East African school so far, and I believe we will continue being the best and giving our students the best, because for me, I did not have a mentor. I did not have anyone to tell me what to do or how to do it. I just loved fashion. And I told myself, when I grow up and I become an older woman, I will teach a people and impact a nation on how to be a fashion designer. And my dream is to see that the brands that we make, that the students become, can also compete on any international platform with no apology, just pride that they are from Africa. Yes.
That is very awesome.
Yes.
So, Miss Sally, I want you to take back a little bit back. Take us the journey So how did you end up become fashion designer? You said you've been in the industry almost. Our interview most focused on
Mcensal.
Yeah. So
I started fashion when I was, I think I was 18. I went to college for 2 years, and then I went to Europe for another six years, let's say. And then I came back home. I was certain that I had to come back home because I knew that we did not have this sort of industry in our nation. So I wanted to come and see what can I make a difference. How can I make a difference? And that really also challenged me because there were so many things that we didn't have in our nation at the time when I was coming back. And I had to be also a bit, I had to be a bit pushy, you know? So every competition that came in our nation, I joined. And I was certain I would win. That is the mind I had. I had to be a winner in everything I did.
Yes.
And from the age of 12 to what I am today, it has been and it will always be fashion. Yeah. So for every student, whatever it is that you have, whatever it is that you can do, maybe it's even knitting. Even knitting is fashion. You can use it in fashion. Whatever it is that you can do, you can use anything and create things that are different. So my journey has always been to study. Even now, I still read. I watch what's on style. I know what's what is coming in the next. We're going now to spring, summer in Europe, just to follow in what is going on. So you have to be a person who is always looking what's going on in the internet with all these bloggers, fashion bloggers, internationally or even locally, and try and see what it is that you can bring into the industry as yourself individually, and then you can join a group, form an association, whatever it is that you do. But Africa, I believe, is still a giant that is still asleep in this area of the creatives. And I think the government needs to really, really, really support the creatives, because today, internationally, we only see creative everywhere, from singing to dancing to... People have taken these skills very, very seriously across the world. Even a swimming instructor, everything which is a skill is what is causing or is putting food on the table today. So something needs to be done, and something needs to be done quick, and so that the youth may not always think that they must go to a white collar job. Because today I know designers who own cars, who own homes, who have their own things, and people are like, truly just selling clothes? Yes, you can. You can do anything.
Yeah,
you can. Yes. Yeah.
So that makes me to ask you a question. How do you see fashion industry in Africa?
Like I say, it's a sleeping giant, but we need to move away from... You see, we have this beautiful ethnic fabric, or can I call it African fabric, for the ones who understand as African fabric. Now, if you take an African fabric and just copy a jacket that you just bought from Europe, is that designing? I don't think it's designing. Yeah. So I think what we need to do, how then can we look at this European jacket and use our ethnic fabric to come up with something that is African, yes, but can be worn by everyone, whether you're European, whether you're an African, but you're proud that it came from you. That is what we need to see ourselves doing, not paste and copy. Yeah, I think we have pasted and copied for many years. Yeah, but now we need to be those creative people, because we are from Africa. And like I keep on saying, we have a big culture. How many people have written books of the culture in Africa, the animals in Africa, the what's this called, the packs in Africa? All these books are written by the Europeans, but yet we are the Africans who are supposed to write about them. We live in Africa. Yeah. So now you see, so a lot of things have been taken away from us because we've also sat down and let other people do it. So I think it's about time for the younger people to arise and take their position, yes, and know how to position themselves in this area of creativity. Yeah.
Someone told me, was discussing, he said, some governments in Africa, they still don't understand fashion.
Yes.
So what message can you send to these governments? Yeah.
You came to the fashion show and we had somebody from the government. You remember?
I remember, yes.
And he came up and he said he has been in the government all his life and he has never known there could be there are things like this that happen. And this was the fashion show that we held on the 23rd of March at the Sarit Center. He was shocked. He said, how come the government does not know that things like this happen? And that is what I want the government to know. How is it that they do not know that such things happen? And this is the youth that we keep on, they always speak about that they want to develop the youth. They want to develop the youth. But there's no support from the government. Yeah. And the only support a government can give to institutions and all these things, even sponsor a student, you know, sponsor a good show, just something small. We're not asking for billions. It's just maybe a few hundreds. And encourage open markets. Since we don't have all the fabrics that we need made in Kenya, we should be, I think they should just remove all those taxes on fabrics because we don't have the fabric. France does not grow their fabrics. In fact, they do nothing about their fabrics. They bring in their fabrics. And yet, it's the biggest and it's the international fashion center of the world. All their fabrics, they bring them from all the other nations of the world. So I think we need that sort of room so fabrics can come to us instead of us being taxed so much on raw fabric where we don't even have it in our own nation. Yeah.
Talking about the fabric, many, let's say some countries in East Africa, they just claim, oh, kitenge, it's our fabric because kitenge have been there for a long time. So what's your perspective or your view point on fabric in Africa? Because
I've been to West Africa, I believe Ghana and Nigeria and I think it's Sierra Leone and all these companies, all these, there are very many textile companies, especially where I have been, where I went to visit Ghana. I was shocked. The way we sell cabbages on the road, they sell fabrics in the market. It's fabrics everywhere. I've never seen so much fabrics in my life. So you find that there's some nations that have taken fabric, especially Ghana. Seriously. I know I went to Nigeria. I also saw fabrics there. But it's all African fabric. But why do they do it? It's because the people there are proud to wear African fabrics. If I go to Velsco today, even if I'm in Europe, the people in the shop will tell me this is originally done for Nigerian people. Yeah, because Nigerians have a certain print that must be printed by these people so that they can buy it. It's always in what's it called in want or in need because there's some certain culture or a tribe that they must wear these certain fabrics. So fabric in East Africa, we don't have, I don't believe we have, apart from the Maasai blanket that I know in Kenya or the Kikoi, yeah, which people say it could have been from India or I don't know, yeah, but everything else that we do here, though Tanzania is trying to do their own fabrics, which is a good thing, but we still haven't gotten to where Ghana is because their fabric is cotton. It's 100% cotton and they have weights of cotton. So you can have like a jacket made out of a heavy cotton fabric or you can have a light fabric and things have changed, especially with this digital time, digital printing. Things have really changed. Yeah.
So let's back to Kenya. How do you see fashion industry in Kenya?
Because
you have been here for a while.
I think where we have reached as a country and having so many creatives out there, we need to have like policies. Now we need to legalize things, so that we own that area of fashion, you know, so that anybody coming to open a shop, let's say in Kenya, and you're from Europe, there must be a certain policies that must be followed, all those sort of things, you know, and you understand?
Yes, I
so
get
we
you.
can
Yes,
reduce a lot of people coming into our nation to invade all shops and encouraging the local designer to, number one, go to school, learn your skill, and then go out there and build your brand. And then the other thing is things like shops. You know, still we have a lot of malls in our town, but the rents are very high. Reduce rents for upcoming or even designers who've been around, you know, so that we are out there, because everything must start from somewhere. But you cannot start fashion and have a shop that you're paying so much rent. Then how are you going to make it? So there must be some form of policies where even retailers or people who own shops are working with designers. Yeah.
Someone was saying some of the governments, I don't know if what's happening in Kenya. Let me say the example in Rwanda. Rwanda government was designer. There was like either give us no tax to bring fabrics in Rwanda, or do us a favor, or give us a contract, because most of the African government, they give Chinese companies to print the mass production of military uniforms, some certain institution uniforms. So how do you see that favor of supporting designers in Kenya? Raw tax for them, help them to contract. How do you see that can work?
I think things like having no tax on fabrics to be brought in Kenya, I think could be something that can help the industry grow. And then these contracts, you see, designers are different. So we have who we call the haute couture, who do the high end, and then we have the pret-a-porter, who does like the middle market, and then we have mass market. So it depends on which market you want to go to.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that is what's key. So like myself, I'm more of a pret-a-porter, which is more of someone who wants to design things that are different and unique. Yeah, I don't have to make the mass. Yeah, and when I do that collection, I will not repeat it. That kind of thing. So if the government can listen to the designers, especially across Africa, not just Kenya, is remove the taxes, especially on things like machinery, fabrics, and even the people who bring fabrics. I think they need also to be held accountable, because some people bring very bad fabrics. Yeah, so even buying the fabric, if you're not a fashion designer, you end up being a victim of buying a bad fabric for your client. You know, so people need to be held accountable for bringing bad fabrics in our nation. Yeah, and then things like digital printing, which is the latest things that are happening across the world. I mean, these machines, I mean, the guy called me from London, and I think he was charging, it was something like, probably, when I calculated to Kenyan shillings, I think it was something like 50 million shillings.
15 million.
50.
50.
50.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
I told him 50 million, unless I hit an oil refinery. Maybe I'll call you later.
Or gold.
Yeah, or gold, yeah. So you see, like, things like that are things everybody in Europe, all these big shops, when they decide to do a fashion week, they have their own digital printing. So what they do, they get inspired. For instance, let's say like they get inspired by the Maasai necklace. So they draw it in their computer, and then they can roll fabrics. Yeah. And out of that fabric, they can make their collection. Yeah. So you see, the idea has come from Kenya.
Yes.
Or from Tanzania, or anybody who has the Maasai people around. Then from there, they take it to Europe. And then you find it a little bit on the bag. You can see it on a shoe. You can see it on even a shoe which is from what's this shop's called? Nike. You find a bit of an ethnic somewhere there. You know, because they have these digital machines that can work on all types of fabrics, even leather.
That makes me to ask you, how do you see technology in the fashion industry?
I think with time, this is with time. Africa is still dealing with a lot of things. Yeah, we still have a lot of things, issues. Now we have the issues of rain.
Yeah, climate change.
Climate change. We have so many issues to deal with.
Yeah.
But the government also still needs to remember that there is still the youth that is coming up. Yeah, they still need to remember that there's a youth that is creative. And people today are not interested in these white collar jobs. Yes, they'll go for their parents to get maybe a marketing degree and an accounting degree. But then you find the boy has ended up being a DJ. Yeah, he just wants to DJ and make money out of it because that is where his mind is. You understand? So what do we do with all these creatives if nobody is talking on our behalf? And trying to knock on a government door has become so difficult. You know, because there's so many people knocking at the same door. Yeah. So if we get things straight and right, and there's somebody out there listening to me today, give us a platform where we can voice. You know, we start little by little, but we can grow and change Africa little by little. You know?
Yes.
But yeah. Before we never used to have cabro on roads. Today we have cabro. You know? We used to be, first it was just tarmac. Then now we're changing things, even housing. You see how things are changing with time. But how does this come around? Because somebody listened and was given a platform to speak out. Yeah.
That's a very interesting. Before we talk vision and the future plans of Mcensal, I know fashion lovers and the fashion enthusiasts, always we bring guests, they want to know more. And even I know also their questions. Some of students, some of the public, the name Sally, it's a big name in Africa and in Kenya. So their question, people, they would like to know, like, what is your favorite food, Sally?
My favorite food?
Yes.
What is it now? Actually, it's a fruit that's my favorite. It's avocado. It's an avocado. Avocado. I love avocado. And there's something that we call here in Kenya with chapati. Yeah, it's also my favorite. Yeah, I love nyama choma, but I can't eat too much of it. But yeah, those are some of my favorite foods so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about sports?
Sports, I love swimming. I love the gym. I love it. I love exercise and I love keeping fit.
I can see you look fit actually.
Yeah. I love looking fit and I like taking care of myself because I believe happiness must come from within to reflect on the outside. And if I'm going to teach people, I mean, I have to carry myself as a fashion designer. So wherever I walk into a room, wherever I am, especially if I leave my house and I'm going to the stores, even to buy milk, I have to look like a fashion designer.
Yeah.
That is key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you travel, of course. When you travel, what do you miss in Kenya?
Kenya will always be home. But when I travel, what I do is that I'm not a buyer of things. The only things probably I would say I'll buy is maybe shoes but clothing. Clothing, I take time. I can work a whole day, but I must look for a designer that is different, that maybe is not in the department stores, wherever. And the best designers I have found so far are designers from Israel. Yeah. Whether in America or in Europe. But most of them are in America. The way they think, and people also from Tokyo or Korea, because I've been to Northern Korea. The way they think, I don't know when we'll ever think that way.
Yeah.
Yes, because there are things. And you know, when I went to visit a designer in Israel, he had the Kenyan nyungu in his collection.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he told me, one of the jackets that he was showing me, he said, this is what actually inspired me. Yeah. And I found him with so many artifacts from all over Africa. Yeah. So you see, people love our artifact. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe this question now, you already have so many designers, but let's back when you were in ALOP, you were prepared to come back to Kenya.
Yes.
Who was your favorite designer that time and who is your favorite designer today? I mean, nowadays you have a lot.
Okay.
You already produce designers.
When I was in school, there's a designer I used to like. Her name was Vivienne Westwood, but I think she passed on. Vivienne Westwood. When I was in Europe, I went when she was growing. And she was inspired by what we call the punk. This was a punk generation that had come in Europe in that time. And all the punks were dressed in a different way. But she made a collection and became a name, a global name in the world. Yeah. So Vivienne Westwood was one of my favorite designers. Yeah, I still go into her shop if I'm in Europe here and there, but she designs differently. But the other person who I like for commercial wear is Michael Cross. I like his commercial wear. He knows how to rectify, especially the black people in America. He knows how to make clothes for black people. I don't know how he got it, but he got it right. Yeah.
Okay.
You see, you have to be, when you're a fashion designer, you also have to know how to capture a market. He has captured both the European and the black people. And his clothes are not expensive, but his style, his detailing, everything about his clothes, you just want to have one thing about Michael Cross. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about sustainability. How do you see fashion in sustainability in Africa?
I think for me is we have leather fabrics. Africa is known, and in Kenya we have leather factories. And you find that if you go here at Hemingway's hotel just next to my house here, there's a little shop there. The lady only uses leather. Leather sandals, leather skirts, leather jackets. Everything in her shop is leather. It's only in that shop and in that hotel. She's nowhere else. Maybe another section of that hotel somewhere in the Mara somewhere. Now, she's been able to do that. Her things are very expensive. She spent, I think, $7,000. Sandals, I think $3,000, and you can see it's the Masai bead, but it's the way she finishes. You know, so for her, sustainability is how to take things and continue using the same thing without it spoiling the environment. You know, if we use too much polyester can only go so far. You know, but if we have cotton, you know, you can recycle things. Yeah, recycle. That's why I always wonder, this mitush that we have in, I guess, in the whole Africa, yeah, is something like a lot of designers have also used mitush to turn them around and make fashion to be worn across, because I've also been in shops like that. You know, so sustainability in fashion is where we can have also fabrics, cotton, linen, natural fabrics. You know, natural fabrics live longer than synthetic fabrics, right? Yes. So I think it's how to use them and how to create around them, change them around. If they're not selling, you can turn them around and do something with them. Yeah.
So there is a debate that is happening now in Africa in terms of fashion. You even mentioned that people say, why made in Africa is expensive than made in China?
Okay. You need to go to China first so that you can see why made in China is cheaper. Because they understood these things many years ago. And in China, you walk into a shop, you ask them, I want that pair of trousers, I want 1,000 of them. They will give you the next day. Yeah. Same color, they will give whatever it is that you want. And it's like they have a certain pattern. They just chop it and then they have machines that just stitch. Okay, they understood. And they are the biggest holder of cotton in the world today. China, if you go to China, and they know how to divide their markets, because I didn't know that in China there's a place that they say there's the European and the American market, and then there's another side that is the African market. So I said I don't want to go to the African market. I want to go to the European. I want to see what is this that they are calling
What to make
European.
difference?
What's the difference? And I saw those are difference. The things that the Americans and the Europeans are buying, they are good. The quality is good. But the things the Africans are buying, oh my goodness, even me, I will not even buy it for myself. Even if it's cheap, I will not buy it for myself, because then I don't believe in quantity. I believe in quality. Yeah. So I'd rather take time to buy my fabric, but let it be quality. So when I'm making something for somebody, let it stay in your wardrobe for more than 10 years. Yeah. You're only giving it away because you have maybe another one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. This is actually a Made in Africa podcast with the Miss Sally. We are very happy to have her, and I hope you're also enjoying. So, Miss Sally, where do you see the Mcensal School of Fashion and Design in the next 10 years?
Oh, Celestine, like we were talking before this, I'd love to open a school. This school, Mcensal School of Fashion Design. You know, they say it's not nice to speak too much of your vision.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see ourselves even in Kigali.
Yeah, you are most welcome in Kigali.
I'd love to see myself in Tanzania.
Yes.
I'd love to see myself. I'd love to impact people and teach people to be designers, so that when you're walking with your head high, you know I am a fashion designer. And how to make a difference also in your own nation. Yeah, it is something I am very passionate about.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yes.
What are your key goals and priorities for the continued growth and development of the school?
Okay, like I told you, one of the things is spreading myself, especially within the East Africa and even West Africa, if I can get room there. But one of the things is the technology part of it. Yeah, because we're moving so much away from the way we used to do things. So all this machinery, yeah, I told you this machinery this computer software that is called card aided design, and now there's this card aided manufacturer that we don't have to do. We can still do our patterns on paper, but today, like the architects, how they draw on computers, we can actually draw our patterns on computers and print them out into the sizes you want. You see, digital printing, that I can have a digital machine that I can do all types of fabrics that I have, and I can put my own print. That's what makes you different. Yeah. Yes, so that if I make this print out of my own inspiration, I mean, that's number one different. Yeah. And people will buy that garment because of the print, you know? Yeah. So we can be print designers, textile designers. We can be creative in the way we create the garments, and all those things put together. I tell you, Africa will be something very different. Yeah.
How do you hope to further Mcensal's mission of nurturing the next generation of African and global fashion? As you mentioned, you hope to open in Kigali, in Rwanda, in Tanzania, in East African countries. So how do you see?
I think everything is possible, and one of the thing is, you see, you're here, Celeste, from Kigali.
Yes.
You see, I met you because of the fashion shop.
Yes.
You see how people get connected.
True.
It's connection. So I want to come to Kigali, and I want to, maybe there could be a forum.
Yes, and Kigali, they're going to listen this podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can invite me over.
Yes, yes.
And I can come and speak about what we do in Mcensal.
Yes,
and
yes,
how
yes.
I want me, as Sally Karago, I always say, to be a stepping stone to somebody else's greatness. Yeah. So I'm
That's
there
inspiring.
to impact a people so that the youth can make a difference. So when I'm 90 years and I'm seated somewhere on a rocking chair, I can remember there's something that God gave me, and I did it for his purpose, to bring fashion and to create or to help gifted and creative people fulfill their potential. Yeah.
So, Miss Sally, thank you very much. The last question is, what message can you send to parents who, because some African parents, they still don't believe fashion? You mentioned the area that there are fashion designers who have homes, who have a life, who have families. So what message can you give to parents who are still hesitating, taking their kids? Yeah, to...
And I don't blame them, because my dad was also like that. But eventually he saw that I had a gift. Do not stop your kids and do not live their lives. You lived your life. Let your kids live their lives. My dad was also very strict in our days, you know, how when we were growing up. And he was like, you're going to be a what? And I told him I want to do this. But because of the passion, the passion I had, even as much as he was strict, I still approached him and I told him, I want to do this. And he told me, okay, then fine, do it. And it's true. When I went to school, I went a term later. But I went to that school, I surpassed everybody I found there. Because I used to do evening classes. Yeah. By the time I left that school, I left with a distinction in everything I did. So parents, if your child is creative, leave them in the creative world. Do not make them go do things like accountancy when they're not interested in it. Let them have skill. If you have skills today, you can do anything at any age. I was sharing with Celestine today that I like swimming. And because I want to perfect some of my styles, the person who's training me to swim is an older person. And yesterday I thought to myself, if he didn't have this skill, he would probably be at home, maybe grazing cows, you know. But then I asked him, so how many people do you see in a day? He told me he sees about 8 people in one day. So you can imagine he is making over 100,000 or 150,000 a day. Yeah.
That's something good.
That's a skill he learned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who told you that swimming cannot make money for you? And he even told me he has 2 sons who are in university and they are doing their own thing.
Oh, that's
You
very
know.
inspiring.
I find this thing of skill has become a very relevant thing in Africa. And that's what has made Europe today. Yeah. Like today in sports, you don't find Africa making sportswear. We only know about Nike, all the other
Nike, Puma, those
all those things, yeah. But you don't find Africa making our own.
Yeah, true.
Why aren't we not there yet?
And we already have a team.
Yeah. And when we have big teams,
Yeah.
Kenya, we know how people run.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. There's still so much. We have leather, but we are not Louis Vuitton, who has their own line. Leather that we have here, because we don't have digital printers that can do leather like how they do it for themselves, you know. So there's so many things. As I say, oh my goodness, can I heat a refinery oil so I can be this billionaire, so I can buy all these machines and bring them to Africa?
It will happen. It will happen.
But if the government gives people a platform, because people are willing to come to Africa to tell people about these things, but are we going to buy them? Because there's no way I'm going to a bank to ask for 50 million.
Yeah,
that's a lot
to buy
of money.
A machine,
to just buy one printing machine.
That's
a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Yeah.
So we need to be in a place where we are all working with the government to help these things come and to be realized. For the greater future of Africa. So
any message you have for Africa fashion designers? I know many fashion designers, they heard you. I met some of them, some from your school. So do you have a message for them?
I think for me is that they need to know their products well. Product is key. Don't make yourself, what's this called? Don't look for fame without product. Because if you look for fame without products and somebody comes to you and tell you, okay, I've seen you've done this, this, and this. Can I order A, B, and C? And you don't even have it. So organize yourself. Organize your workshop. Know where you're buying all these things, whether fabric is coming from China, Dubai, India, whatever it is. Know everything about the background of your business, you know? So when you become a brand, I tell you, you will never stop being a brand. Yeah. And that is what I would tell them, and for them to sharpen their skills by going to school, so that they may not be interested in knowing which school you went to, but they'll be interested in how you cut that pattern. Because patterns must fit. If somebody comes to you and they're size 22, what are you going to do? Chase them away?
No.
Yeah. So you need to.
You're chasing money away.
You're chasing. And you know, people who have the most money are the older people. Yeah. People are willing to pay. I have a designer friend. Her jackets are not less than 90,000 in this town. Yeah. How did she get there? Because she knew how to position herself. Yeah. So we all need to learn how to position ourselves. Yeah.
Miss Sally, thank you so much. Thank you for having us. And thank you for talking to fashion lovers, fashion enthusiasts. I know there are so many African youth who want to learn fashion. And you guys, you have now information where to go, who to ask. Welcome to Mcensal School, which is based here in Kenya. And Miss Sally, thank you so much for having us today.
And thank you very much for having called me, come to support us in our show. I saw you were very busy that day, and I saw and I was seeing the excitement in your face, and I'm glad that you came to meet with the students, and you spoke to the parents. And also that I didn't know much about you until now. You called me and I told you, yeah, you come, and I'm glad that we met.
Yeah.
And I always say there's a purpose and time for everything and seasons for everything. And I think this was a season for me to have met with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
And God bless you.
God bless you too.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening our episode. See you next time with your host Celestina Wirema.